One. We're back, and we have a new guest on our set, Psyho,
Hello.
barely on his feet. It looks like
Yeah,
after
little wobbly after that
after the
one, huh?
marathon match today. What'd you think? How was it?
General thoughts.
Long.
As marathons typically are.
Is that the first thing that you say to us every year when you come on here?
I don't know, but probably I say something similar every time.
Yeah.
Play the tape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was joking. We don't have a tape.
Yeah. So generally, you know the deadline, so I try to use as much energy as I have. So every time I'm going to be pretty much nearly dead at the end of the marathon. If I have more energy at the start, I'm going to use that. So it's expected.
I mean, you're definitely a veteran of it at this point.
That is true.
Yeah, 10 times in a row.
Oh, this is the 10th anniversary?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's the 10th.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know what the 10th anniversary gift is, but I don't know.
I
Hopefully a
believe.
championship?
It might be. So you're currently sitting at the top of the leaderboard right now in the marathon match. I know system testing hasn't happened yet. You can't count. You can't count on anything. But you feeling good about what you submitted today?
Kind of. So I made several bad decisions in a hindsight. So it was very hard to tell what should I do in the middle of the contest. I know that Chokudai didn't test anything locally, so this generally means that he's not very sure about his score. And locally I used 250 tests instead of 100 on the leaderboard.
Oh.
So
So you're saying you added extra tests to your when you tested?
Well, yeah, in a way, yeah. But so the thing the code that I submitted was always tested locally. So
Right.
and sometimes when I dropped on the leaderboard, even though I improved locally, it happens a lot. So there, because of that, I am aware of the variance. And 15K, I believe that's my lead on the provisional leaderboard. So 15K is not it's not too much. So I would guess I have around 70%, maybe 75, but it's hard to tell. So
That's still pretty
yeah,
pretty good confidence.
that's
I'd
pretty
take those
good,
odds.
but definitely not enough to feel confident.
Well, you've told me in past years you never feel confident until you have the trophy in your hand, right?
Yeah, that's true. Although there were years that I had 98, maybe 99%. Even last year, I had way more than this year. So
Why do you think
Anything
that
can-
was? Was it the problem? So this year's problem had a lot of randomness that can affect scores. Is that correct?
yes, well, not a lot, but so it was somewhere in between the problem with full information and with almost no information. So there was a possibility of simulating the beginning of the game quite confidently, although I did use it to some extent, but not very successfully, and I'm pretty sure Chakudai didn't use it at all because his submissions were very quick, which generally means simulating at the start would took a lot of time. So I'm pretty sure that he didn't simulate anything. So the solution was more or less just lots of small tweaks. So it's quite probable that I missed several small changes that could give me another 50K or something like that. So it's a strange game where basically my local test took around 3 minutes, a little bit over 3 minutes. So every 3 minutes I have a small idea and I'm testing it, and maybe it will improve my score, maybe it won't. And based on that, I have new additional information, and then I'm trying another thing. Sometimes I do a longer break to implement something more complex, but generally it happens less and less throughout the contest because I lack of energy, and I prefer to go for smaller changes at the end because I'm in the lead, so I should go for smaller changes.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. As those smaller changes were going in, do you think the other competitors were doing something similar? Because I noticed the leaderboard in that last hour or so was changing quite a bit. You guys were kind of trading first place back and forth, you and Chukudai.
Yeah. So actually, hour and a half. Throughout the last hour, I only had two submits. He was submitting one after the another, and I actually assumed that he doesn't test anything locally. So I thought about making an ugly submission that would use whole time, so he wouldn't be able to test.
Interesting.
But I thought that that's not really. Well, I mean, it's still within the rules, but it wouldn't be a
Very nice.
yeah. Say politely. So
okay.
I actually stopped submitting anything, and because he was tied with me, or I believe he was even a little bit in the lead. It's hard to tell, but I think he was. I decided that I don't want to be distracted anymore by submitting stuff, so I focused as much as I could on finding new stuff uh, that I didn't touch before, and I managed to do one more submission that at least locally gave me around 40 or 45k improvement. I think on the provisional leaderboard I jumped only about 30k, but I mean that's within the expectations. So
So I know one of your buddies is Merrick Seigan, who's
Yeah.
also competing. Last year, it was pretty much you two at the top of the
Yeah.
leaderboard. This time, not so much. And your new competitors were Chokudai and W. Leite actually has been making quite a push. W. Leite's been here a while as well. What are your thoughts on Merrick not being at the top with you, and also W. Leite and Chokudai being your top competitors?
So the funny thing is that with WLIT, it happens the same thing almost every year. That he manages to get a very good submission around between 4 to 7 hours, sometimes a bit earlier, and then he stops improving. So and pretty much every year he does the same. So it looks like he optimizes for the wrong duration of the contest. He quite often is in the lead after 4 hours, but he's always quite far away at the end of the contest. So I guess he made a similar mistake this time. As for Chakudai, I wasn't expecting that, to be honest.
Okay.
I actually thought that Marek is lowering his score because based on the problem, he should be able to get a very good solution.
Okay.
But I'm pretty sure that Marek tried to maximize his win percentage over the contest. So he wasn't really interested in second or third place. So after several hours, when he was very far behind, he basically had two options: either to try to do something simple as I did, but he was sure that he would not be able to create a better solution in the same style than mine, because I have had way more time and I'm pretty decent at picking solutions. So he tried to implement some advanced idea which could give him some edge. And as we know, he went for the second option, and well, he failed, but at the same time, it was very improbable. But still,
It was a high risk.
yeah,
high reward type.
yeah, exactly. And
Did you talk to him after the
Yeah, yeah,
competition?
yeah.
How was he feeling after the match today?
tired.
Yeah, of course.
That's pretty common for everybody.
Yeah, so we haven't talked enough to figure out what exactly, why his score was way lower. It happens quite often that there's a one character mistake somewhere.
Oh no.
So you have a small bug in the code, and at the start it doesn't seem like it's significant, but then you try to you try to tweak your code to add new ideas, and all of your ideas don't work because of that small stupid bug that looked very insignificant, but in the end it prohibits from any kind of improvement.
Yeah, it sounds like it can create a bottleneck
Yeah.
situation later on.
Now, can we actually like talk about the problem in a little more detail? Because we saw a lot of different tactics. Some people were gathering the patrol cars and kind of just streaking down, and then kind of making all the red appear on one side, and so they could
Really,
take them
someone
out.
did that?
We were looking at someone that had that type of
I think
attack
Tommy
at
Run,
one point.
yeah, did that briefly. It didn't
Okay.
last long. He scrapped that pretty quickly, but it was fun to watch.
It was fun to watch. Yeah. But what was your take on it? Like, how did you attack the problem?
So I'm pretty sure that all of such approaches where you have a simple global strategy don't work very well here. Well, there is no grand strategy here. Basically, you try. The simplest solution is to take a car and go to the closest spot that has a high crime rate.
Okay. That's the red.
Yeah, the red
Yeah,
cells.
so you can actually ignore the calls because the problem is structured in a way that if a soul has a high crime rate, eventually you'll get a call anyway. So if you only go to the calls, your solution behaves more, has higher variance. And if you go to the crime rate, if you almost only care about the crime rate, you will get rid of high crime rate cells so that there won't be any more calls. So one of the bigger improvements were to instead of going only for the calls, just reduce the crime rate as much as you can in each cluster, and then you won't have to go back every few turns because a new call popped up. But it's not like I didn't program it explicitly. I was just tweaking some constants until the effect was that more or less like that. Also, the other simple technique that had to be used was, sorry, my talking
Oh,
is
yeah,
not.
no worries, man. Take that.
My tagging is as usual. So you had to spread around the cars so that each car, let's say, patrols different areas, so they won't get stuck in one place. But so those were the two most important ideas. The third one was when you were going to answer a call or reduce the crime rate, instead of going in a straight line, it was sometimes useful to go to the side to reduce the crime rate along the way. But
Okay.
it's not. I didn't program those things explicitly. I was tweaking the constants until it behaved. The program behaved as I wanted to. So my program is literally the bulk of my program is one huge function with different parts. And for example, my last submit that gave me 40K was that I swapped in one place. I changed 2 to 5 in one place.
And that made that big of a swing on the leaderboard.
And that was a 40K improvement. So
That's crazy.
that's what I was doing for the most of the time.
So a lot of
Tweaking.
throwing things against the wall and seeing what sticks.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's not completely random. For example, I'm increasing one constant, and then I'm looking through the test cases results. So I'm not only looking at the finals, at my final score, but I'm looking at what test cases were affected. So I can figure out that maybe this particular change is only useful for some times of test cases, and because it's only useful for some type of test cases, it probably means that something that it has some exact downside. So then I'm trying to modify it so it won't have that downside, etc. But
Okay.
so it's very so it's not completely random. That's what I'm trying to say. There is a lot of intuition behind that.
All right. So I'm sure you're probably sick of talking about the problem and
Yes.
thinking about the problem and living the problem. So what are you gonna do? I think I know the answer, but what are you going to do tonight?
Oh, but you know the answer.
I said I think I know the answer.
Oh, so I'm just saying that you know the answer. Now you know the answer.
All right, but you need to say it.
I will go to bed early.
Hey, that's me too, for what it's worth.
Oh, for you.
I know. No partying tonight. That's for later this week.
Is there anyone on Twitch who has a question for?
I will take a look. Anyone on the Twitch chat? No questions coming in, Psyho. So you must be answering everything that everyone's thinking about. Anything action on the Facebook feed?
No, I think they're just listening and enjoying the commentary. No
Yeah.
problem.
All right. So how about the rest of your time here? Any big plans?
What are you doing to the results?
Sleeping.
Uh-huh. Of course. Or is that code for something that I'm not really getting?
I will still going to visit one more escape room like place because it's not escape room, but it's close to being escape room. At least as far as I know, it's called 5 Wits.
Oh, okay. I've heard of it. We could talk off air about it.
Well, the people want to know: are you going to keep that haircut for the next year, or is that your signature style?
For Hulk,
Are you going to change it up?
I'm trying to think for how many years I have it.
I feel like
As
I
long
see
as
it
I've
in all the
known you.
photos.
Probably more than 10.
One hairstyle for 10 years.
Yeah.
I give you credit for that.
It's super easy to do. That's
Oh, yeah?
probably the reason.
So you just wake up and go, "Pfft."
No, that's what you do.
That's what I do. That's why I was like, hey, we do the same thing.
No. It takes. If my hair is longer, it actually takes 10 to 15 minutes. So.
To do that?
Yes.
Woo.
I mean.
I need to put more effort into my looks, is what I just learned.
I had my hair dyed to the red several times.
Oh, really?
Yeah. More rubin than a red, but yeah.
Gotta get it.
So imagine going with my faux hawk,
Right.
which was almost glowing red.
Now, will you be coming back to the arena like tomorrow, or
Yeah,
are you
yeah,
taking
yeah.
the day off, staying at the hotel?
Yeah, I will be here. I guess I don't know when I'm going to wake up, so probably this will affect my plans.
Oh, of course, of course. All right.
Well, I think you've earned that opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it, man. I think
The arena's
we can let you go.
closing up. I think
Oh,
we
yeah,
should
They're going to kick
start
us
kicking
out,
butt.
and I think you've
That's
earned
great.
the opportunity to go get some rest. Thanks for taking the time and sticking around and hanging out with us,
Appreciate it.
closing down the stream for the day.
Oh yeah.
As always,
oh,
everybody, Psyho, the current leader on the marathon match. Tune in on Tuesday to see the final results and see if he's on stage again, raising another trophy with a huge sigh of relief.
Well, if I'm going to lose, I will still have 50% win rate in the finals, so it's not that bad.
No,
That's pretty high.
That's pretty good considering the competition.
You are the New England Patriots of marathon.
As a Patriots fan, that was a great compliment.
I guess that's some kind of U.S. sport.
Yes.
and-
Oh, yeah.
Don't worry about it. We'll
it.
spare you. It's a great compliment. He basically said you're the greatest of all time.
Tongue in cheek.
Sure.
All right, guys.
Okay.
All right. Have a good night, everybody. We will be back with more Top Coder Open tomorrow. We'll see you then.
Thank you,
If I can hit the
Psyho.
button.
Sure.
If I can hit the button.
Done.
There we go.
I would be way